Right as I'm about to finish the series on the hardest challenge in mobile gaming, a giant winter storm comes through Texas and destroys everything. It causes us to lose power for days and have to find very strange ways to warm ourselves. But in the midst of all this chaos, I found two things that totally redeem the moment. Alright, so those of you who have been following this channel know that I was about to finish my series on the hardest challenge of mobile gaming, and the video this week was going to be the hardest part of that challenge. But as I'm working on it, a giant winter storm comes through Texas and lowers the temperature down to like 5 degrees in the entire state, which is not something that our state is used to. In fact, this hasn't happened in over 30 years. And to make things worse, a lot of the power plants in Texas, their minimum degree that they can function is 10 degrees. So when it was getting below that, they had to shut down a lot of those factories. So this causes thousands of people to lose power, including my neighborhood, which is kind of a dense populated neighborhood. Now at first it's kind of fun, spending time with family, enjoying the snow, and then as things start getting colder and things are a little scary, we're still, having fun and making jokes. But after about 30 hours of not having any power, people are starting to get scared. Some of the houses in our neighborhood that just weren't as insulated would get lower and lower in temperature, and some of them were starting to get freezing inside as well as outside. So around that time, my wife and I start thinking about that motorhome that she and I bought as a side business to kind of rent it out on the side, but then we could use as a family when it wasn't being rented out. And we remembered that unlike our house, that motorhome has a propane heating system, which would keep us very warm, and it has a generator that runs on gas so that we could have electricity, since of course the state could not provide that for us. The problem though is that that RV was about 20 minutes away and there was a lot of ice in between me and that RV. So me and my brother-in-law get in my truck and we start making this trek, which normally would only take 15 to 20 minutes, and it took us about 40 minutes to get there. Then once we get there, I'm taking this giant motorhome on ice-infested roads back to my house. And at first things are going pretty well. I know that if I can get on the interstate, which Texas doesn't have a lot of equipment for dealing with ice, but we do have enough to, maintain our interstate. I knew that if I could get on the interstate, I would be good. But there's this one point where I'm on the feeder, I'm trying to get to the interstate, I'm pretty close, I'm on almost to that on-ramp, and I find myself on a hill and there is a icy slip and slide down in between me and the highway. To make things worse, there are two cars in the ditch at the bottom of the hill because they did not make it in the hill. There's two cars in front of me and there's a third car in front of me who is turning around, and as he passes me going the wrong way on the feeder, he says, "You're gonna flip that thing." And I thought to myself, yeah, I think he might be right. So I sit there at the top of the hill, I kind of get out of the vehicle and I look around and I see the two vehicles in the ditch are able to get out safely, and then the two vehicles in front of me slowly go down the slip and slide and don't lose traction because they keep their wheels going. And so I'm next. There's cars behind me and I've got a giant motorhome that I need to get down the hill. So I survey the hill and there's definitely spots with ice and definitely spots without ice. And I think if I can roll and self-correct when I'm on the non-part ice, I should be able to keep rolling well enough and not lose too much traction on the spots with ice, as long as I go slow enough and I don't ever hit the brakes. But if I'm being honest, I was completely scared out of my mind. So as I'm edging up to the edge of the hill, I hit my brakes so that I can start out going really slow, and I already start to slide. I'm at the edge of the hill and the whole motorhome starts going sideways, partially down the hill. Luckily, I only slid a few feet before I was able to stop it. But then at that point, I sit there for 5 minutes with my emergency flashers on, giving myself a pep talk. I knew I needed to get home. I looked at the road and it seemed like a safe bet. But between those two cars that were in the ditch and that guy that spoke over me that I was gonna flip the RV, I was pretty nervous. But after giving myself that 5-minute pep talk, I had the adrenaline and the courage to go for it. And so I started to let that RV slowly roll down the hill. And as I would hit those spots without the ice, I would hit the brakes and kind of slow down and then keep letting it roll until I made it all the way down the hill. After that, it was pretty easy to get home. And as I was pulling into the neighborhood, my brother-in-law and I had the idea of what if we provided hot coffee and power for people to charge their phones. So I got my kids bundled up and sent them all throughout the neighborhood, knocking on doors, telling them to come charge their phones. And what was beautiful is what happened next is that a lot of my neighbors started to pitch in their resources. One guy had a fire pit, another person had firewood, another person had lighter fluid. We had camping chairs, and as the last few days have gone by, as we've gotten to 4 4-hour chunk of energy yesterday, and right now, hopefully the power won't go out on me because I got hopefully another 4-hour chunk today. More and more people have been pitching in more and more resources. So I brought out the propane stove that I've been using to heat my house. People have been able to have warm meals and charged phones. And honestly, our neighborhood, which was kind of in the city, people didn't really talk to each other a whole lot. We're actually starting to make friends with our neighbors in a way that we've never done before. In fact, a lot of them are still outside of our house right now, and I kind of left them to do this. They don't really know that I'm a YouTuber, but I'm coming up here to record for you guys, and then I'm gonna go back down and hang out with them some more. We're actually not in the clear. It looks like there's gonna be a couple more days of kind of mostly power outage, but you know, obviously I have power right now, which is kind of nice. So this is the video for this week. I hope it's entertaining to you. Obviously it's not about mobile games, but this is what I'm doing this week. Which, speaking of making videos that are not about mobile games, I will show you a quick sneak peek of a tips and tricks video that is coming soon to this channel. Even though it's not about mobile games, it's about something that's been a really big part of my life, and I think you guys are gonna really enjoy it. So you guys can look forward to that video, which will come out hopefully sometime in the next month. And next week, I will hopefully have that archives video for you. Hopefully, I mean, a lot of people have lost, pipes have been bursting, and so we're gonna be helping out our neighbors, but hopefully I'll be able to get that video to you guys next week. All right, guys, I'll see you next time.